Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Look at this mess. Oh my goodness. So I'm setting up my palette, getting ready for the French retreat I'm taking in May, and this is my kind of everyday travel palette. This rides around with me in my car all summer long. It is wonderful. I'll take it on retreats. I'll take it on workshops. It is great, and I just kind of been topping it up. Occasionally I'll use up a color and I'll be like, I'm not going to put that back in there. But for the most part, it has served me really well. Some of the things that have not served me very well is some of the brands that I put in here, because some colors don't set very well, such as honey-based watercolors, namely M. Graham, which is my favorite watercolor brand. It's not great in this. I have to be very careful if I use M. Graham colors. Sennelier is another one that just doesn't want to sit. And even Daniel Smith sometimes will just stay soft forever in this palette, because during the summer, I go and paint outside almost every day. I just love to be outside when the weather's good. And now that we're in January, albeit a fairly mild January, I'm just kind of crawling the walls here, climbing the walls. So I figured, well, this will be good. I will get my, get a nice, top this off and get a nice fresh portable painter ready to go. The reason I'm going to bring two is because I'm teaching for 2 weeks in France. I don't want to bring tubes. We will have some tubes there of the most used colors in case anybody runs out. But for the most part, I want to be contained, and watercolor goes a long way. So I want to do my first pour today and then let it dry for a week or so, do another pour, maybe up to 3 or 4 pours just to make sure I get it right to the top. I mean, honestly, I could pull the pans right out and just fill the wells and get a little, like an extra milliliter maybe of pigment in there, but I don't know. Well, I could do that. Maybe I will do that. That's probably not a bad idea, honestly. Maybe, you know what? I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to commit. So this is a portable painter, and am I going to regret that? Am I really going to be missing that much paint if I do that? Oh, see? It's decision fatigue. But yeah, I want to go with 2 fully dried down palettes so that I can, I won't have to bring tubes, and I know I'll have enough, and then, you know, I'll always just use it. These are my basic colors. So I decided I would go with core watercolors, because core watercolors just seem to just dry down the hardest, but also reactivate fine. Now, I have these tiny little 5 ml tubes of core, which will be nice to, well, on one hand, it's going to be really nice to use them up. On the other hand, it's kind of like, oh, I'm using up my paint, how sad. But, yeah, the core just dries down so well. I'm going to use my tube crimper to get every little ounce of paint out of here, and I'll show you what that is. It's this right here. It's a metal one. I had a plastic one previously for many years, and it worked great, but I will say that it eventually broke. I got this on Amazon many years, like a few years ago, and it was very inexpensive. I think I paid about $6, and generally these all metal ones are about $30. So I think I will keep the pans, and just because if I decide I want to change my mind and move these around, which I can't imagine I will, but you know, because I'm so used to the way this is, yeah, I think I'll just leave them the way they are. I could take the pans out and fill them and probably be a little bit neater, but let's be honest, it's a travel palette. It's not going to be neat for very long. So yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to conserve. This would be so much better if you're trying to fill like a big palette like this, like a ceramic palette that's just going to sit on your desk. But, you know, let me know. Let me know if you're as stingy as I am with the paint. It's like, I hate to waste any of it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing with these small tubes. I'm going to squeeze out every last bit. But I'm just going to set that there for now. By the way, save your paint caps and try to remember where you saved them, because if you ever break or lose a paint cap, it's so nice to have them. So let's look at the colors I have in my palette. I feel so disorganized. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching the Sat Chats and just kind of hanging out with me as I'm going through this lost period of time right now where I'm just overwhelmed and confused and I don't know what I like anymore. You know, we're having my little yearly existential crisis that happens in January. So I have either burnt sienna or burnt umber. I just want it to be a PBR7 color. I have a little bit of dioxazine violet. I've been trying to use that pan up for like years. It's nice to have, but it takes forever to use up, and I do believe that is core brand in there. Then I've got a quinacridone rose, and I think that's probably Daniel Smith. I got a Pyrrole Scarlet, I believe that's Daniel Smith. Got a Yellow Ochre, not sure the brand. I got a Gamboge, which is a warm, warm yellow. I got a Hansi Yellow Light, which is a cool yellow. Those are both Daniel Smith. And they get really soupy, so that's why I really want to switch over to Core for this palette. This is a piece of the Daniel Smith sticks, and actually, I think I would go, if I was going to do this with Daniel Smith colors, because I know a lot of you guys are really big Daniel Smith fans, I would recommend getting the sticks. First of all, they're more affordable for the amount of pigment you get. You just slice them to fit them in your pans. You shove them in there with your thumb, and you are good to go. They are absolute rubbish as far as watercolor crayons, like drawing with them, but as far as looking at them as solid pigment to just stick in your palette, they are brilliant. So I have Sodalite there. I really like it. Then I've got like a Hooker's Green. And I don't think I'm going to do the Hooker's Green or the Sodalite. I think I'm just going to do a Sap Green. Or maybe a Sap Green and a Phthalo Green. I don't know. I've got Cobalt Teal, which is really handy for, especially if you get some of those really nice blue waters. It's nice for rocks because it's got a little granulation to it. It's really a nice color. Phthalo Blue, Ultramarine Blue, a chunk of Inktense White, Antique White. I'm going to stick that right in there. Get another one of those. Potter's Pink. And then I've got some violets, which I don't think I'll put in this palette. I've got Cerulean Blue, which I'm going to use in one of the slim palettes that are larger, and then I've got some Mars Black, which I think I'll probably put into a smaller pan, or maybe I won't include it at all. But I think I might put Mars Black with a Dioxazine Violet, is because I'm not going to add that to this palette. It just takes too long, and I don't use it very often. It just takes too long to use up. If I've got, I can mix a really nice dark violet anyway. So that's where we're going. So basically, I want to do a split primary palette. It does not have to be, it doesn't have to be exactly the colors. Like for a warm yellow, I could use Cad Yellow Deep, I could use Indian Yellow, I could use Gamboge, but the Gamboge from Daniel Smith, it was staying really soupy for me, so I don't really want to bring that on a plane. It's going to be a pretty, busy 2 weeks. I'll probably be painting right to the end, and I don't want to be dealing with wet palettes and having to worry about that. So, well, let me get myself situated, and well, we could top this one off while we're at it. I'm kind of thinking. I was kind of thinking, yeah, I'd like to use up this tube. Maybe I will use up this tube of French Ultramarine Daniel Smith, because this is not a goopy color. This one does. I feel like colors that are more mineral based tend not to get really, really goopy. And then what I will usually do is I'll wet my finger and I'll press it down in there to get the paint. You know what, maybe I'll use a toothpick, and that way I won't have to get my finger completely. Okay, I don't have a sink in my studio, guys, so there's my toothpicks. I don't have a sink, so I have to run upstairs if I need to wash my hands. I know, first world problems and all. I'll call the ambulance, what can I say? One of these days, though, the addition we put on our house back in 2019, yeah, we started in 2019, finished it up in 2020. That will be my studio eventually, when the kids all are completely out of college and off on their adulthood adventures. Yeah, I guess I'll just use this Daniel Smith. I'd like to just use it up. So after that shrinks, I'll give it another pour. It's very satisfying, I think, to squeeze these. Oh, you know what? I was thinking about putting the ultramarine in one of those bigger pans as well. You know what? I might do that, which you might think is kind of silly to have 2 pans of ultramarine, but it's really nice if you want to do, I like to use ultramarines a lot for skies and water, and it's nice to be able to do to get a big brush in there to get like my my big flat brush. And I want a big one of cerulean, so I don't think I'm going to regret having extra ultramarine blue in my palette. So I'll have technically 2 half pans and whatever this equals out to. I think they said the long slim pans do equal out to being a half pan. I mean a full pan. I'm not sure though. It doesn't seem like it would. I might just keep a toothpick for each color, especially since I'm going to top them off. So stingy. I'm so stingy with the paint. It's like, well, you know, it's expensive. Here we go. See, look how much was hiding in that. That's like that's a couple paintings right there. So there are spots, at least at the time I'm recording this, in the second week of the French retreat. So it's kind of, I think I've mentioned this in Sat Chat, but what happened was the first week sold out really quickly, and the company that does these tours or these retreats, I'm going to stick that right in there. They also do, this is cerulean blue. I love cerulean blue. This is a PB36:1, and I love it for skies. It's so lovely. So they had the week that I'm doing, and they also had the week after mine. And the person that was doing the week after mine didn't meet the minimum for their retreat, so it had to be canceled. And so they offered it to me, and I was really nervous about it because I'm like, I don't know if there's that many people that would want to go. The first week did sell out fast, but, you know, I mean, there's only so many people that can take a week off that, you know, can afford it, that can, you know, that are comfortable traveling overseas. So I love how nice and liquid that is. It filled in so well. So I'll top it off after it dries. So, and also when they offered it to me and I agreed to do it, it was right in the holiday season. So it was kind of a tough ask. I think this is a little bit thinner. I'm just going to, I mix brands. It doesn't bother me. So anyway, there's spaces available. I haven't really had a chance to promote it all that much other than mentioning it in Sat Chat. So I'm really hoping that we can fill it up. Because I'm already there, we can do it with fewer people if we don't get, you know, a full house of 16. But obviously it'd be nice to get the full group full, because that's still a small group. So I mean, on one hand, you might be booking a shared room and paying the lower rate and then end up having the room to yourself. I guess that's on the bright side, or not necessarily on the bright side. I mean, I love people, but sometimes when you're on vacation, you just kind of want to get away. You know, you just want to be by yourself a little bit. I get that. Anyway, so if you are interested in painting with me in France for a week, this would be the week of May 20th through the 27th. Check out the video description for a link to go over to Uptrek and check it out. I'm also going to use the Phthalo Blue from Daniel Smith because I found that not to be goopy for whatever reason. I don't recall it being goopy anyway. I should probably have my reading glasses on to make sure I'm reading, because it would be tragic. Well, not that tragic, but you know, it would be a bummer to get the wrong color and the wrong thing. Is this like relaxing and satisfying? I don't even know. So yeah, I always find stuff like that really nerve-wracking when I have to sell something like that. Like even just like a class, like when I was doing the classes at the heirloom convention. I don't know, it's kind of, because you have to hit a minimum. If you don't hit a minimum, then you can't do the class. If you don't hit the minimum, you won't be asked to do it again because they'll give it to somebody else. It's yeah, I guess it's the life, really, right? Let's get another little toothpick out. But I haven't done, I've actually never been to Europe, so I'm very excited about that. I'm a little nervous. But, you know, the kids are growing up, and it's my time to, you know, spread my wings, I guess. Can't stay in the basement forever. Alright, I am also going to just set this toothpick right in there, and I will use that to top that off. Another little cap. Alright, the Cobalt Teal. I love this color. It is really nice. And again, that there was a slice of the Daniel Smith Cobalt Teal stick, so that worked out really well in that palette. I'm going to top it off here with this core. And I will fill this up as well. I do not think, I could probably get by with one palette for the 2 weeks, to be honest. But I know that I will feel more comfortable knowing that I have a backup, and that way if something happens and somebody runs out and we don't have, for whatever reason, we don't have that color, or maybe we're out and about, I don't know. I don't know. I like having a backup of this because I know I'll use this palette up eventually because it's my most used colors, but also I'll just have that just in case, you know. And these will shrink it down as they dry. And I should be able to squeeze a little bit more in. But yeah, I also like the way the Turner Artist Watercolors dry down. I like how I think I'm going to put that granulating black there next to that brown. I like how I really like their ultramarine deep, and I would probably have used that one as well if I didn't have these tiny tubes that I wanted to kind of use up. Their ultramarine blue deep is so gorgeous, and this is probably one of the biggest steal of a deal brands of paint. But I have to say, you have to pick and choose with the colors. Not all of the colors are awesome, but a lot of them are really nice. And the only thing I would stay away from their Mayan colors, and Mayan colors are really kind of weak. Actually, I can use the back side of that. Their Mayan colors are not great. But I find like a lot of their granulating violets, their ultramarine deep, their reds are really nice. They have a lot of really nice offerings. I think that they have a set of 5 ml tubes that usually go on a really good sale at Jerry's Autorama, but they have a few duds in that set, and it's really kind of a shame because I think a lot of people buy that set and then they base the entire line on that when there are some colors that really are not their best colors in there. All right, I'm definitely going to do sap green. I don't know if I'm going to do a phthalo green. I'm going to think about that. But I'm going to put it in... Ooh, I'm going to put it in this spot. Honestly, I love the olive green by... gosh, now I'm thinking maybe... That looks so dark. I got to swatch that out really quick. Okay, this is the core sap green. That's beautiful. I was a little nervous because I'm like, ooh, that looks a little suspicious. But no, that's beautiful. This is like the Hooker's green that I had in the previous palette, because I had that and also the Serpentine stick. So yeah, I don't know if I want to do anything with that. I might just squeeze a little sap green in there. I know that's super sketchy, isn't it? Because if I mix those two colors together, then I get a very similar color to the sap green. See? So those two colors together actually work really well. Maybe I won't add any green to that palette. I'll just use those up, and then when I've used it up, I'll decide what I want to do. Okay. Oh, I think I can put a little bit more sap green in there. I like to kind of overfill, and then go from there. Gosh, this is going to be probably a pretty boring video. I don't know. Okay, that is sap green. Do a painting with all my toothpicks. And then when I got to recap it, I'll just squeeze it to the side, from the sides a little bit, so it sucks that little excess back in. All right, I'm gonna try to like ship ahead some stuff if I need to, but honestly, just take a backpack over to France. I'm a very light traveler. I think I want to do the cadmium yellow primrose. It's such a lemony color and it's so strong. Isn't that gorgeous? I love a cad yellow lemon. I know if you wish to avoid the cadmiums, there's lots of cool yellows you could choose. I was thinking I would put Hansa yellow in that one because that's what I had, but that's soupy, so I don't think I want to do that. I think as long as you have a cool and a warm version of each primary, it's fine. It doesn't have to be the exact color, as long as you've got something that's in this a similar feel. But then again, I already put that color in there. I think I might just leave it. Well, I guess it won't be exactly the same, will they? That one needs to be cleaned. That's got a really, oops, a really dirty neck to that. So I'm going to do that right now so I don't end up messing up the threads on that. So when in stitch in time, saves 9, as they say. If you notice there's a really messy neck, go ahead and clean it. All right, and I'll leave that out because I'll probably top that off. Then I have Indian yellow for a warm yellow in core. What else do I have? What do I have for warm yellows? I have cadmium yellow deep, and I have Indian yellow, and I think I'll do cadmium yellow deep. Is that what I want to do? Cadmium yellow deep is more opaque. Let's see what the Indian yellow looks like. I don't know. I think I'm going to do the cadmium yellow deep. I'll just take care where if I have rinse water, where it goes. So one thing you may want to consider with your travel palettes is how are you going to dispose of your paint water, because like I've got cadmium and cobalts in this set, so it's just something you definitely want to be aware of. And, you know, just be careful to you know, not like pour it down the, I don't know, we pour our stuff down the sink. I don't know, just be aware of it, I should say. All right, the next color is raw sienna. You could use yellow ochre, but I've got raw sienna in core, so I'm going to use that because I know it will dry down really well. I'll go right ahead and use my crimper here. Cadmium colors are really good because they're so light fast and they're so strong, you don't need that much. So just like anything, there's pluses and minuses. I don't think I'm going to top that one off. It's so full as it is, and it's fine. Yellow ochre and ultramarine are probably the two colors I use the most. So I definitely want to make sure I have plenty. And again, this is gonna, once I've let this dry and I've topped them off, this is gonna last pretty well. Oh, you know what? I'm leaving these tubes open. That's probably a bad idea. Yeah, I probably should have just taken the half pans out because they're gonna end up getting glued down. Might just put that into another palette that I have because I don't know if I'll be able to squeeze that in. Make a mess. Alright, so for our reds, I'm going to do, let's see, I got Permanent Scarlet, I've got Pyrrole Red Light. I think I'll do Pyrrole Red Light because it's very satisfying to use up a tube, you know? Oops. And I believe I've got Pyrrole Scarlet in there from Daniel Smith. That's pretty full. I'm just going to top it off a little bit, but it doesn't need too much. I didn't use this up, but I will probably be able to top it off after it shrinks down a little bit. And then I used Permanent Rose there, and not Permanent Rose, Quinacridone Rose, and I really liked it, but I don't have any more of that Daniel Smith, and I have Quinacridone Magenta in core, so I'm wondering how different that would be. Let's swatch it out and see. By the way, this little thing I'm working on here is a postcard, and I bought a package of these, and I do not like them at all. So I'm using them up for swatches and stuff. Oh, I think that's going to be fine. Yeah. So I can always take a little bit of that. I think that'll be fine. It's not quite... I think I like the permanent rose a little bit better though. Let's see what the other red I have looks like. See, I got quinacridone red and I've got permanent alizarin crimson. Let's try both of those. Let me know what brands you like to use in your travel palettes, because I'd love to know some less sticky brands. Maybe that quinacridone... Oh, you know what? I think that quinacridone red might be the ticket. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think that's the winner right there. Yep, I'm going to do the quinacridone red. Okay, now I've got that magenta out. I need to put that somewhere because I can't possibly bear to waste that. You know what? I'm just going to stick it in there. It'll be fine. It's not that different. What kind of operation am I running here? You're probably thinking. What kind is this? Okay, that was quinacridone red. That's gorgeous. That's going to be perfect. Yeah, might as well top that off. I think it's close enough. My other option was going to be rose red from Da Vinci or from Turner. I like both of those rose reds. Are they the same pigment? That's PV19. PV19. Yeah, well, they're the same. They're the same pigments. No wonder I like them so much. Let's do a little stir here. Make sure that's in there really good. Because, you know, I do use a cool red more than many colors. That's another one that gets empty quick. All right, I need to get more burnt sienna here. Oh, I guess I started the stirring situation after I had did this first one. Because I didn't stir that one around. This is so thick. There's a green that I absolutely love called Olive Green by Sennelier, and it's so nice, but it is way too goopy to put in a travel palette. But then I thought, what if I took sap green, which is also a pretty color from Renaissance, which dries too hard, and I mixed them together? I wonder what kind of, how that would be. I bet that would work pretty well. All right, man, look at this. Good to the last drop, right? Folgers. Folgers and core burnt sienna. All right, and then I've got another tube of that. So if you're interested in core watercolors, my recommendation is to get, because this is probably, because the binder is Aquazol, it's not gum arabic, it seems to be, it's first of all very, very like clear. So your blues are extra vibrant and beautiful because there's no yellow, like the gum arabic has a little bit of yellow to it. So your blues are extra clear. And they make a bunch of introductory sets. And so I started off with a high chroma set of 6, and I just fell in love with that brand of paint. And then I bought the other sets of 6, and then, and there's no overlap, I think, with all the sets of 6, but then they have a set of 24. And I snagged that, and there was a few duplications, but all useful colors that I would use. I would do that because they're expensive by the tube, but they're not too bad in those sets. All right, so now I have some options. I want to think of what colors that I want to add to this. I definitely want Potter's Pink, and I'm just deciding if I want the Potter's Pink in one of the little pieces, you know, tiny pans like that, or do I want it in an actual full pan? And I think I'm going to put it in a full pan because I've got my basic mixers, right? I got my basic mixers. I can mix any colors I want from that. But Potter's Pink is a color that I like to have for texture. And I'll kind of go back over like what my absolute non-negotiable colors are to have in the palette, and then what I would recommend. The other thing I really like about the tube crimper here is that it's going to take air out of the palette, so out of your tube, so you have less chance of it drying out on you. So when I go do this, I'm getting all that extra air out. So it's just, you know, it's just paint in there. And my favorite Potter's Pink is the My Mary Blue Potter's Pink. It's in a 12 ml tube. It looks like a 15 ml, but it's only 12 ml. I got mine at Blick. And I didn't think it, I mean, My Mary has a bit of a reputation for being more expensive, because maybe because the tubes are a little bit smaller. But I've always liked them. I first found out about them in an ad in the back of the Artist magazine. Alright, so I didn't do anything with those greens because I think I'm just going to use them up. I didn't do anything with the Dioxazine Violet because I'm just going to use it up. Now, I could put a little Dioxazine Violet in there. Let's see, what other, you know, if I do just want to have that, that dark, I really like, actually I have Core's Cobalt Violet, but that's really hard to re-wet. I don't want to be dealing with that. I like this Manganese Violet a lot. I think I'll top that one up. This is another Turner color, and it dries really well. What do I have in there? Got some crud in there. I'm going to try to clean that out first. I don't get too fussy over cleaning my travel palette. I do clean the mixing area when I'm done painting. Usually before I leave my painting location, I'll take my rag and I'll just wipe it all over the surfaces. This dries down well, but it reactivates really well too. And then I think, I'm not really sure what color that was. I think it might be Ultramarine Violet. So let me swatch it out and see. And I honestly, I didn't find those purples to be all that useful, except it was kind of nice if you're doing stonework to like just get some other colors in there. Is that ultra? I don't think that's Ultramarine Violet. I don't know what that is. Mineral Violet maybe? Yeah, they're so close. I definitely don't need both of them in there. So we'll just use it up and then do something else. These little slim pans, they fit into the portable painter. So if you already have a portable painter, they fit where the brush goes. They'll also fit in the studio palettes from Winsor & Newton Cotman. They do not fit in the Sketcher box though, but if you have the big studio palettes, you can run a string of those, and it's great if you want to add other colors. I love my vintage, God, I do like that color. I could add that in there. I do love my vintage Cotman paints. I find them to be really nice and vibrant and just wonderful. All right, so I'm looking around, seeing if there's anything else that I feel I want to put in there. That purple is nice, but let me just see what I get for a really nice dark purple to see. Dioxazine Violet doesn't, it's just dark. It's just a really nice dark color, so I'll just swatch that here just to show you what that looks like. It's just a super intense color that can help you get really, really dark darks. But like I said, it's something I use very sparingly because it kind of overtakes a picture. But I'm wondering what I could get with my Quin Red. I like that Quin Red. Why don't I use that more? Probably because I have the Quin Rose and everything. It's very similar. Let's take that with the Phthalo Blue because that's darker. Ooh, that's real dark. That's really strong. Let's add a little bit more of this in there. Yeah, I can get just as dark of a purple that way, so I don't really need the Dioxazine Violet. That's fine, that's pretty. Do I want to have, maybe I do want to put that Mars Violet in. That might be kind of fun and pretty. I might think on it a bit though. All right, so if you're taking my workshop or you just want my advice on paint colors to choose, I'm going to give you the basics, and then you can obviously, we're all different, we all like different things, so I want you to go with your gut. And actually, I think I'll do a little mixing, a split primary, let's do that together. Let's do a split primary mixing thing. Let's do it right on this paper. This is pretty, oh, I could use those for little swatch cards too. Yeah, I might do that on the back. All right, let's do a little swatch card of our colors, and then we'll do a little color wheel, and I'll show you why I choose what I choose. And I'm going to get another bucket of water so that I can keep it nice and fresh. All right, I'm gonna start. I think I'll just swatch out the new palette here. That's our warm yellow. That is a non-negotiable. Definitely want to have that. And I'll just kind of put it down there. Now we're going to want a cool yellow. See how next to each other one looks warmer, one looks cooler. I think yellow ochre or raw sienna is, or goethite, something that's got a nice earthy yellow. It's the goethite has is the same pigment but it has more texture. That's a Daniel Smith color, but I don't know, I think yellow ochre is just such a lovely color. It's not, I do mix it with stuff, but it's not going to be one of our color wheel mixable colors. Then we've got a nice warm red, so this could be Pyrrole Scarlet, this could be Cad Red Light, Cad Red Medium. That's what I would use for my warm red, so it would be kind of near the warm yellow. And if I mix the warm red, I'm just wondering, I should be taking it off of my toothpicks if I have it. If I mix that with its friend there, the warm yellow, I should get a really nice orange, which I do. So there's our mix. And then we've got our cool red, which is, could be permanent rose, could be quinacridone rose, could be quinacridone magenta, could be quinacridone red. You can see how cool that looks next to our warm red. And then we have, I put the Mars Black in there. I don't think I'll, yeah, I guess I can swatch that now. And the reason I'm doing this is just because it's got a really nice texture. I don't typically paint with black, but it's got such a nice texture that it's a PBK11 that it's really pretty and like stonework, and I'm hoping to do a bunch of sketching of some of the old architecture in France. I think it's going to be so much fun. I'm going to show you how to make a stitched sketchbook. I can actually show you what it's like here. Here's one, my prototype. Isn't this pretty? This is what we're going to make. We're going to make this on our first class, and then we'll be doing a lot of our painting and sketching in the sketchbook. There will be some larger sheets of paper there too, if you want to do larger paintings, but I know, like, just flying, at least for me, flying overseas, having something nice and light, and plus I love working in sketchbooks, and then you'd be able to paint your vacation and have all of your memories right there. So I'm going to show you how to make one of those. We're going to do it together. All the supplies for that is included. You don't have to bring them. We're going to have them there. Let's see, what's next? We've got our green. Do I have a green toothpick? This is our Sap Green by Core. Which again, I think Sap Green is a non-negotiable just because it, you know, you're painting, you're outside sketching, it's going to save you a lot of time. This is a beautiful Potter's Pink, which I don't think is a necessity. It's something new to my palette the last couple of years, but I've really enjoyed painting with it because of the texture, especially because I like to paint rocks and beaches and things like that, but I don't think it's necessary. Then we have Cobalt Teal. Again, I don't think it's necessary, but it is really nice, especially if you paint in the Caribbean or any place where you get those really beautiful crystal blue waters, like sandy beaches and stuff has that beautiful blue water. But not a necessity. Then we have our Phthalo Blue, which I do think is a necessity, or I would go with Prussian Blue if you prefer a more traditional palette. Phthalo Blue is more light fast and more vibrant, and that would be our Cool Blue, so we're going to put that right down here next to our Cool Yellow. And then we have our other, this is probably the most useful color on my entire palette, and this is Ultramarine Blue. French Ultramarine or Ultramarine Blue Deep, whichever shade you prefer. And that is our warm red, our warm blue, and it's a little bit closer to the red there. So let's mix. I'm going to mix some of the Ultramarine Blue with some of the Quin Red. Get that off that. Getting it off the. I want to say popsicle stick, but no, it's a toothpick. Oh, I got some on this toothpick too. Now you can get a darker blue actually if you mix phthalo blue in with your Quin Red, because phthalo blue is more transparent and stronger, so that would give you a darker color. So you can make purple either way, honestly. Just depends on what you like. Isn't that beautiful? And I've got some paint on my fingers, which I always do. I always make such a mess when I'm refilling palettes, but it's also kind of like a satisfying feeling to refill a palette, because it's like, yeah, I used the paint, so I'm refilling the palette. You know, it's a kind of a like, yeah, I did that. Okay, and then to make a nice green, I would take my phthalo blue and my whatever you're using for a lemon, where it's cadmium yellow, cadmium lemon, or Hansa Yellow Light, or Arulian, whatever you like to use. We'll be working in a sketchbook too, so if you want to bring in some opera colors, stuff like that, stuff that's a little bit less light fast, you can do that, because we'll be working in the sketchbook. Look at that pretty teal. That teal is gorgeous. So you can see you don't really need the cobalt teal. You can water that down. That really does need a little bit more yellow in it for a basic green. And then if I take all three colors, mix them together, I'll get, looking good, nice sap green by just taking that, or olive, mixing the orange with the green. You mix all your primaries together and you will get a brown or a gray. But see, those 6 colors are my absolute non-negotiable, but I also think having a burnt sienna or burnt umber, a yellow ochre, and a sap green are also good. So those 9 for sure. Now, obviously, I mentioned the cerulean blue because I really like it for skies. It's got a beautiful texture to it. It granulates beautifully, like ultramarine blue. And it's very soft and subtle. It's slightly cool leaning. And then I've got another pan of the ultramarine right here, which to some might seem excessive, but I want to be able to get a big fat brush in that ultramarine as well, and just make sure I have plenty. And I've got white, and I'm not sure what to put for the other color there. I'm going to think about it. But you know what? Actually, I kind of like the idea of this purple. I like that. That manganese violet is really pretty, and I think I'll do that. And these Turner paints go on sale for like, well, I bought this for like, I think it was like $4 or $5, and that's 15 mLs. And I do feel like their tubes maybe aren't filled as much as other brands, but you can't beat it. And that just that'll give me a little flavor into some stonework and whatnot. Look at that pretty, how that's granulating them apart. Yeah, it'll just give me a little bit extra flavor. So I will let these dry down, and then I will top them off. So that's pretty much all there is to it. I hope you found this interesting. If you are planning on coming to France with me, I cannot wait to meet you and paint with you. And if you're just hearing about it for the first time and you would like to come paint with me in France for a week, we're going to live in this beautiful location, this beautiful resort that's only us. It's only us 16 painters plus the people that are hosting us. It's this gorgeous resort in the south of France. There are saltwater pools. There are beautiful landscapes to paint, gardens. We're going to go to excursions. We're going to go to a wine tasting. We're going to go to the botanical gardens. And we're also going to spend a day in the city of Elbe. So except for your lunches out on excursions, all of your meals are included. The materials for the sketchbooks are included. You just need to bring your basic palette of colors and your basic brushes, whatever you like to use for brushes. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a trip of a lifetime. I mean, like, I don't know if I'm going to do any more retreats. We'll see how this goes. I'm really looking forward to it, and I can't wait to see you there. Again, links in the video description, and it's going to be a lot of fun. May 20th through the 27th. It still has openings, so just don't wait. Hop on if you make sure you can get the room that you want, and if the room you want is full, you can always join the wait list. Thanks for watching. It's getting loud around here because the water pump is going, so I will say farewell and have a wonderful day. Happy crafting. Bye.